Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Ben the Human Plays Vagrus the Riven Realms. We still have a decent amount of supplies and we have the crystal that we need to try to go into the Star Garden. Excuse me. So we're going to try that. Explore the lower levels. Oh, we can just like straight up do this. Break the seal on the Star Garden. We don't have any movement. I wonder if we can actually go in. At last you walk up to the seal blocking the way into the Star Garden. It appears as a transparent magical outer layer covering a beautifully decorated iron double door. The murals on the surface depict an idealized garden bathed in the light of celestial constellations. Preceptor Lelithason's specter appears to you from out of thin air without delay. Thou seeker. Her voice falters and you can see that her spirit form is shaking. Thou hast finally reached the end of the path at last. After 1,000 years, use the memory crystal, utter the words, release them. Not wishing to antagonize the specter, you comply. Taking hold of the finely carved crystal, you look into it and focus your mind. It only takes a few moments of concentration to reveal the final memories recorded on the sorceress device once more. You listen again as Parhassus hastily argues that his plan to save the survivors of the school is to leave through the Star Garden. Whatever his exact plans were, you are unable to glean, but he does leave the memory of a short spell that would unlock the seals for anyone who may have fallen behind. Then you open your eyes only to glance at Lelithason's distressed visage. Do it, she whispers, almost begging. You utter the words of power, but feel as if someone else did so. After a moment of pause, pregnant with anticipation, there is a loud ripping noise, and the magical layer on the iron door dissipates into nothingness. In the silence that follows, Preceptor Lelithason closes her eyes and sighs and says, "At last." And then she simply disappears. You and your companions exchange looks. Are you supposed to follow her? Why has she not said anything else? You try the iron door and learn that his left wing can be pushed open easily. Beyond is what looks like a lush garden with magical lights. You will have to explore the place to find out where the specter has gone. We cannot venture today, but we did open the door. So we gained a memory crystal, but not lost the memory of the specific guy. We did get some insight. Does Soroa have anything to say about the Star Garden? Does not. Leave the tower. Let's go to the camp and sell some of our memory crystals. There's newly arrived merchants? Let's talk to them in a second. Sell a great many memory crystals. We have 31. I'll take 80 bros. And then 40. And then 4. All right, let's meet these newly arrived merchants. A small camp of merchants set up shop near the ragtag camp with some guards protecting their wares. Walking up to them, you are greeted in a friendly manner as they introduce themselves as water merchants. Oh, neat! They are quick to explain that they heard the Sadirar are guiding explorers to the tower, so they came to see it in the hopes of a new market. However, they never really expected to find an entire comitatus here. You see, we are prepared to supply water and food to lone travelers, maybe even small groups, so we didn't bring a significant stock, their leader says apologetically and then raises a finger. But perhaps our stores will prove to be useful. Fret not, Vagrus, for will remain here for quite a while, and the Sadirar will assist us in restocking from time to time. You can count on us. You take note of their business. Oh, neat, so we can just buy supplies from them. Average price of what I own. So theirs is more expensive than mine. So we don't really want to buy here unless we have to. Good to know though. It's an option. All right. Go ahead and rest. I don't think there's anything. We don't have enough movement speed to work on anything. Good job. Everybody healed. Back into the tower. Lower levels. Into the Star Garden. No telling what perils await you in there. Drawing a deep breath, you beckon your companions and head carefully into the ominous-looking, lush garden beyond the archway. Soon you make it into the first large chamber. Whoa! This is super cool! Neat. A short dark corridor leads into a decorated archway and into a grand open area where you stop in your tracks and shudder as you try to take in the bizarre yet awe-inspiring spectacle. Ahead of you stretches a great hall, as far as the eye can see, overgrown with all manner of exotic flora, gleaming crystal formations, and colorful fungal clusters. It is evident that this place indeed used to be a magnificent garden, which was given over to neglect, and its flora began to grow uncontrollably, overtaking most surfaces and structures, originally carved out of bone-white marble with great care. Yet no matter how majestic and strange this wilderness is, it is nowhere near as eerie or as astonishing as what entirely replaced the ceiling of the Star Garden. Up above, where gigantic tree-like marble pillars meet, is now only the sky full of stars, and yet this sky is different from the night sky of Zareen you are so accustomed to observing. Strange colors are strewn across the heavens, where odd nebula and twisting constellations churn and roil ponderously, only to merge into a tapestry of bewildering patterns. All of a sudden, you feel very small. Stars blink occasionally, and you cannot shake the feeling that they are like distant eyes, and you begin to squirm unwillingly under their cold scrutiny. You realize you will have to search this Cyclopean garden thoroughly if you wish to find Lilithason. With your sense of unease mounting, this endeavor begins to look like a nigh insurmountable challenge all of a sudden. We gather our wits and enter the depths of the thicket. Wild. Accompanied by your trusty companions, you enter the Eldritch Wilderness and begin to explore your surroundings. I'm getting a very Lovecraftian feel from the Star Garden. It's very neat. The colorful mushrooms and oddly undulating liana seem perilous enough for you to avoid, so you push past them, wandering into other great halls opening from the first one. One thing quickly became evident. This place is enormous. Was it always like this, or did the strange curse imposed by the calamity cause its dimensions to expand? After what feels like hours, the disorienting sensation of the garden begins to take its toll, and you decide to find the way back to the entrance. To your utmost horror, it is not where it used to be, and you spend another hour or so looking for it in vain. Coming to the conclusion that the way out could be anywhere, you give the order to explore further, and so wandering under the star-studded strange heavens, you venture deeper and deeper into the Star Garden. At length, you reach a glade where you finally see signs of others, albeit it is not a sight you were hoping for. Across the thicket, hundreds of age-old corpses lie scattered on the ground. Most of them have roots, branches, and stalks growing through them. All of them are skeletal, bearing sheds of ancient clothing. After inspecting this solemn graveyard, you conclude that the dead here were students and scholars of the tower. As to how they perished, you find no clues, but it appears to have occurred at the same time, at least roughly. Was there a massacre here? If so, what caused it? Judging by their numbers, must have been most, if not all, of the tower's survivors who came here during the calamity. The implications of their demise are too dark to ponder for now. Your companions gather a handful of undamaged valuables and curios found on the more easily accessible corpses before you tell them to move on. You take what you can and continue exploring this eerie place. Some arcane texts, a simple jewelry or two, a small energy crystal, a murky eye brooch, and an amulet of concentration. The glade this is interesting. It's less like the exploration of the rest of the tower and more like a planned series of events, it seems like. The glade with the corpse is now behind you. The group heads deeper into the lush garden, occasionally circumventing one of the giant marble pillars that reached up to the 300 feet, only to crumble into floating pieces where they make contact with the strange sky above. You are leaving the vicinity of one of these ancient structures while scaling crumbling marble rubble overgrown with barbed vines. One of your companions cries out suddenly. You turn and see in horror that a long, dark, limb-like tentacle has grabbed your unfortunate comrade, certainly with ill intent. At first, you believe that it is part of the foliage here, but then you realize that the shadowy appendage has actually descended from the great dark sky, or rather, it looks like it is part of the confounding sky itself. Your other companions are quick to free the one that was grabbed by hacking at the shadowy celestial feeler. Yet to your horror, new tentacles form up from above and begin to lash out toward you. Knowing your only chance is to get away from them, you yell for the others to flee. I don't know if we need to boost our chance. We have 174 dexterous, 99 perceptive, and 48 navigation. I think we could just let this roll. Can you get away in time? We did. Miraculously, you make your escape with your companions in tow. Whatever those dark feelers were, they did not follow you to the next great hall where you can finally rest until you catch your breath. These quiet moments also bring the realization that you have got completely lost in the Star Garden. Seeing no other recourse, you press on presently. After a few minutes, you come upon a large statue, the first one you have encountered here with any discernible features. Standing about 20 feet tall, a once beautiful marble artwork depicts a man in a toga in a stately pose, holding a caduceus in one hand and a tome in the other. Disturbingly, in place of the statue's face is a swirling black hole, embedded with twinkling stars, much like a tiny version of the sky above you. According to the bronze plaque that you read after cutting away Liana, this was supposed to be Icarius himself. You shudder and give the order to press on. A few minutes after the encounter with the odd statue, you walk into what looks like ruins of a circle of marble buildings. Only some walls and arches still stand, still fighting their millennium-long futile battle among the creeping foliage, much like a drowning man fighting for air. Nothing of value turns up during the search of the ruins, but you find an ancient message scribbled upon one of the walls. Once you clear the area of the barbed vines, the whole of the text becomes legible. It seems to be a form of ancient imperial, and the handwriting is decidedly erratic. Try to decipher the ancient message. We have a little history and a little savvy, but not as good as we could have been. Let's go for the boost in 20% and hope that does good enough for us. We succeeded. Woo! The old Imperial starts to make sense after a while, even though the sentences are jumbled, and it appears that the author's thoughts were in disarray. They opened it, and the sky was waiting. It had eyes. The stars hunger. There's no path, only the great hollow, filled with all things possible. Oh, the stars gaze upon us with malice. This is so Lovecraftian. It's not even funny. You unintentionally look up at the roiling heavens and shudder violently. Beating at your temples is a bewildering pain accompanied by vertigo. It subsides, but your left hand keeps trembling for hours to come. You hide it from the others. You leave the ruins behind and press on. Oh, I thought we would get, like, shaken or something. Wandering for what feels like hours, you finally see a break in the multicolored thicket that seems to go on forever. Ahead is a large crystal garden, unharried by the creeping foliage. Peculiarly, the color of the crystal is a deep purple with streaks of orange, often in swirling patterns. Most of the large clusters stand taller than grown men. You enter cautiously, only to spy movement among the crystals. Signaling your companions to be ready for anything, you draw your weapons, not one moment too soon. With strange cracking and creaking sounds, a handful of crystal clusters animate and unfold, revealing vaguely humanoid forms. With odd, malevolent lights gleaming inside their crystalline forms, the creatures lunge forward, intent on doing you harm. A fight is inevitable. Oh, they're like little guys. Shard is what they are called. What's your HP? 21. That's pretty tanky. What's your armor class? 2. Yikes. All right, begin. I hope you're not resistant to fire. A little bit, but not as bad as other. Well, not as bad as magic either. Or magic is less so. Good thing we don't have any cold. If only we had Finderath. Finderath is like the cheat code of the game. Every day passes and I think, oh man, what an opportunity missed. Go for the middle boy. Shoot him. Nice. We might be able to kill this guy. We should probably ward to do some damage to everybody. Oh, we didn't get him. Ow. That's a pretty damaging hit. Oh, you coward. Go for this guy. Nice crit. Well done, Gorgoro. And then he punched both of us. We've been tainted. Help. I don't know what this does. Danger. I don't think they can do anything at the back, so I'm going to focus more on the front people still. Oh, man. Eilani. Can I debuff you? Good time to find out. Doesn't look like it. Might want to take a turn to buff Sidarius. They have a pretty high block as well. Makes sense. It's kind of like the late game of the Sunken Tower. I don't know what... I should probably look at what Tainted Ground does, huh? Whoa, you hit the whole front line. You jerk. What does this do? Let me see. I can't tell. How do I tell? It's not a damage over time. Oh, it's draining power. Interesting. That's not so bad. The front guys aren't really magic people. Basically, I think Eilani can't use her hawk attack, but I'm not using it anyway. Good hit. Try to burn these two. And then Kreefta, please finish this one off. Nice. Another one down. Garrick, you gotta reload your gun, my man. And what? 2, 2. All right, we've reduced that guy's armor, but Gorgoro can't hit that guy anyway. And I'm hoping the ward kills that guy. Ooh, crit, rough. All right, another guy down. Nice crit, felt well done. Good shot. 1 to go. Yeah, just keep hacking at him. Nice, nice. Shoot him. Oh, well done, team. Front row took a beating there, but hopefully it's... I don't know. We probably got a boss battle coming, so I think us being kind of wounded is not great. The foe is defeated, their cracked and broken bodies littering the ground at your feet. Looking at the remains, you are reminded of other crystalline creatures you have encountered before, but these seem odder, somehow more alien than the hulking blue giants of the Kaleri. Because of this, you instruct your companions not to touch the crystal shards that remain after their destruction. Turning away from the site of the fight, you wonder what other hardships await you in the Star Garden. You have to persevere nonetheless. Oh man, there's like no way to get out of here. On and on you walk beneath the strange skies and among eerie thickets. Suddenly, one of your companions cries out in shock, pointing at the sky. You follow their gaze and try to make out the cause of alarm in the undulating tapestry of strange constellations. For a brief moment, you think that perhaps your companion was seeing things, but then it moves. Something huge, ponderously moves across the heavens. Sky whale! No, that was me. It is shifting from barely visible to the consistency of a translucent shadow. Your gaze is circling madly to try and circumnavigate its grand expanse, to make sense of its odd, twisting form. It's definitely a great old one. It is only there for a few brief moments, and then it is gone. Terror strikes your heart like an ice-cold dagger burrowed in your chest. Bewilderment mounts as you try to make sense of what you saw. Was it real? Only strong-minded could help with us. Alright, we gotta use some of our resourcefulness to try and get through this. I feel like if we break with reality, we're either gonna have a really bad debuff or just die. Why did it go all the way to the top? Oh, I didn't even hit the thing. Oh, text succeeded. Woohoo! You managed to tear your gaze away from the Eldritch, and we're all out of resourcefulness now, so we're stuck in just what we can do ourselves. You managed to tear your gaze away from the eldritch sky before losing your mind, but it was a close call at best. Your heart is racing, your vision is blurry, and the fear is almost palpable around you. Around you, your companions have not fared much better, and it takes a moment for them to calm down. Fearful of looking up again, you enter the thicket and try to cut your way across a more dense part in the hopes of leaving the haunting apparition up above behind. You are successful in getting away, but the terrain ahead is confusing, and it slows you down considerably. Frustration mounts as you are angrily chopping at vines and weeds, but then all of a sudden you stop dead when an odd noise draws your attention. It is faint at first, but its direction is clear. It is coming from the right. You tell your companions to head that way in the hopes of finding a path out of this veritable jungle. Soon you can hear that the noise is chanting. About a dozen people must be incanting the same droning, oddly stressed syllables about 200 feet away from your current position. Desperate to get out of the thicket, you follow the sound, but soon it becomes confusing. At one time coming from one direction and a moment later from another. We must try to find the source of chanting. We're good at navigation, a lot of perceptive, not great scoutmaster, but a little bit of magic sense. We succeed. Following the voices quickly becomes an exercise in futility as the source seems to be moving around you in a perplexing pattern, confusing your sense of direction. What is worse, it is getting darker and darker with each minute that passes. It is as if the stars and nebula above have begun to dim, covering the dense glade in a twilight that is quickly turning into complete darkness. Panic rises among your group when at last this unnatural night falls and you are left grudging through the humid glade without really seeing much. The voices are now getting harsher and more malevolent, much akin to spectral whispering, and you are constantly turning your head, imagining that an attack is imminent. But then you and your companions regroup, and together you find a tree you can grab onto. To your relief, light seems to be returning ever so slowly. After perhaps a quarter of an hour, the thicket is back to what it was before the harrowing phenomenon. Once you are confident that the darkness is gone, you head in the direction of the chanting. At length, you step out into a clearing. You are standing at the edge of a large open space, surrounded by glades and thickets on all sides. The ground here is made from intricate stonework, and surprisingly, it has not been overgrown by invasive foliage. Your attention is immediately drawn by the chanting to spectral figures, about 24 of them, standing in concentric circles in the middle of the plaza. Around them, signs of a magical ritual abound. Candles, glyphs outlined in chalk, small fetishes, and energy crystals. There are also corpses. At the feet of each specter, a dead body is lying on the stones, mummified and twisted into a macabre position. Sensing that something is out of place, you look up at the sky and your jaw drops. Above the plaza, the eldritch skies are roiling and twisting, forming a terrifying maelstrom with the malevolent stars blinking in the depths of its black heart. You feel a presence there, something very strange that in turn sees you, is aware of you. Shuddering, you look back at the specters and wonder what they're doing here. They appear to be in deep concentration and do not react to your presence, at least not yet. We will approach them. You take only 3 steps before a familiar voice calls out to you. Thou art here. Turning around, you see the specter of Preceptor Lelithason standing on the edge of the plaza, her gaze fixed upon the maelstrom above. Her voice is different somehow. It has a strange edge that was not there before. What is more alarming is that her appearance has changed too. Part of her ethereal form now appears to be shrouded in shadows, with odd angles constantly shifting in an unnatural way. Inside her are blinking stars and unnerving colors. You ask the spirit what is going on here. This is the place. Thou art finally here. Her answer is cold somehow. Those ahead are my colleagues, led by the great Parnassus. Imprisoned, hurting, misguided. Thou hast to aid them. We must set them free. Send them off to Tartarus at long last. Bewildered by her response, you inquire if this means attacking the spirits. She is already walking toward them when she answers. We must do what is necessary. Raising her spectral staff, she begins incanting a spell in a croaking, spiteful tongue that hurts your ears. I have no idea what the right answer is here. Are they holding back the creature above? I don't know what to do. I guess help her? Let's help her. This seems interesting. Weapons in hand, your companions rush forward and reach the chanting specters across the plaza. By the time Lelithason's first spell hits its target, the spectral mage is torn apart by the strange multicolored flame in a matter of seconds, shrieking madly as a handful of ghost dust falls to the ground. You lunge at one of the spirits and slay it while it was distracted by whatever sorcery it is casting. Reaching the ghosts moments later, your companions vanquish one after the other in a quick succession. No! One of the spectral figures at the center of the mystical formation yells as he turns towards you. He has a long beard and piercing gaze that exudes authority and power. He barks an order to his colleagues. Okay, they are definitely keeping back whatever eldritch horror is coming. We've done the bad thing. Keep holding the gate. He then turns towards you and begins casting a mighty spell, but your companions are already advancing on him. The pressure is enough for him to give up on the incantation and defend himself with his long staff. As he does so, a barrage of deadly arcane energy hits him, all but dissolving his spirit form. What remains falls to the ground with a defeated groan. What have you done? The spirit manages, but Lelithason's next spell erases him from existence moments afterwards. Soon most of the remaining spectral mages fall to the attacks of your companions or the elven preceptor's uncannily devastating magic. The maelstrom in the sky widens, and the shadow around the eldritch stars lashes out, like many tentacles of darkness grabbing up incanting spirits as well as your companions and you! While you are hauled up towards the blackness, you shout to Lelithason, but you can see utter disregard in her hollow gaze. You did what she wanted you to, and now she has no use for you. Darkness soon envelops you, and an unbearable cold cuts you down, deep down to the bones. You gasp for air in vain, and there are only distant stars. Wow! Okay, so don't do that when you get to the Star Garden. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh man, wild. Go back to our manual save here. The other saves were I forgot to go back into the Star Garden, so you'll never see that timeline of events. Okay, cool. Well, it's a little bit of a shorter episode, but I think that's a great place to pause. We will pick back up. I will bring you back in when we get to that choice in the Star Garden, and we will not aid Lelithason next episode and see what happens. So, for now, if you guys enjoyed the episode, please click the like button. It helps me out a lot. If you want to see more episodes of Vagrus Vagrus, the Riven Realms, or the other videos I have going on the channel, you want to see what happens in the Star Garden when you don't choose to aid the Ancient One, do subscribe to the channel. Please make sure your notifications are on so you know when the next videos go live. But until next time, everybody, I hope you had a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye, everybody!